DU has been showing us what we can do, and it's that can-do spirit that I believe in.
Take it.
Don't forget, Ducks Unlimited.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting.
Greetings and welcome to Ducks Unlimited Television. I'm Ainsley Beeman. In this episode of DUTV, Goose Lake, Louisiana, with Orrin Richard and Gary Salmon as a special treat mixed in amongst the fast-flying teal and pintails, Wade Bourne will interview former Vice President Dick Cheney. We'll close the show in the green timber of Arkansas. All next, right here on DUTV.
I've done a lot of trips over the years with many special people and many special places, but Goose Lake here in southwest Louisiana and the occasion to be able to hunt with Orrin Richard and Gary Salmon have been one of my real highlights in my TV career. These guys to me are heroes in conservation. And so we go out that first morning. Sometimes everything works out and they have a good shoot, and sometimes things don't work out in terms of shooting, but that doesn't mean it's not a good time to be out there. Day one, the tally wasn't very big, but the fun was big, and to be able to just be out there and experience that South Louisiana culture for me was a real highlight. Well, we got up the second morning, walked out on the porch in the dark before we went hunting, and I bet it was 70 degrees. Very cloudy, very warm. The wind was blowing probably 10 to 15 miles an hour. Early, we had a lot of bird work. Then as it got a little bit lighter, for whatever reason, they began to get a little more skittish. However, not like the first day. We were able to pick away. We killed a beautiful Mallard Drake right off the bat. On the board. Good shot, Gary. Shoot it, Queen. Good shot, man. There we go. That running back carrying the ball, isn't it?
This little piece of God's creation is in southwest Louisiana. It's got a mixture of fields, pasture, and man-made impoundments. So we hunted conservatively, and we've got a lot of resting areas, a lot of natural feed. So consequently, we normally have good hunting here and a good waterfowl population for the entire winter.
Got one, yeah. Good shot.
When North America's ducks and other migratory birds wing their way south every fall, many of them end up on the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana. To a duck, this must look like a great place to spend the winter because the numerous marshes and bays in this region are some of the most productive wetland systems on the continent. 95% of North America's gabwalls spend the winter here. So do 90% of the mottled ducks, 80% of green-winged teal and redheads, and 60% of lesser scaup. But the Gulf Coast is in crisis. Over the past 50 years, we've lost an average of 40 square miles of coastal marshes annually. Hurricanes and oil spills, development, and other issues continue to threaten these critical habitats. That's why Ducks Unlimited and our partners are working hard to restore and protect this vital wintering area through our comprehensive Gulf Coast initiative. It's going to take all of us working together to make a difference, and we need your help. Find out more at ducks.org.
Two dead ducks, boys. Good shooting.
Warming up.
All right.
The reason we're here this weekend, Gary and Mike, my son, and several other DU friends decided to do a tribute dinner. Their efforts brought in right at $1 million for a project in Canada dedicated to me and my family and my friends of Ducks Unlimited. This is not just my tribute, this is of our friends from DU. I donated a hunt to be auctioned off for that at that dinner, and Gary made a tremendous contribution to that project.
Good shot. All right, good shot, Wade. We'll give you that one.
Yeah. No, you can have that one. Yeah, I believe you got that one, Gary.
Listen, after yesterday, I'll take anything that falls.
They accused me of shooting the spoonbills, but I deny it. But we had a good hunt, and then the rains came in, and I mean in a deluge. It was raining so hard you couldn't see hardly past the edge of the decoys. If you're a duck hunter, you've been there. But then the lightning started popping, and rain got harder, and we decided to come in. We wound up with a fairly good shoot on the second morning and brought some birds in, and Miss Monica, I hope, is going to turn those into pot roast duck, and we're going to enjoy them before we leave. Waterfowl and waterfowl hunting attract people from all walks of life, and one special opportunity we've had is to go and interview former Vice President Dick Cheney. Vice President Cheney, I know you're a sportsman. Tell me a little about how you got started in the outdoors.
Well, a couple of things, I guess. I had a grandfather who loved to fish, and I started out with a bamboo rod and a hunk of twine and a red and white bobber and a night crawler on the end of it.
In your life now, what do hunting and fishing offer you?
Well, it's always, I think of it as always having been part of my life, even when I was using the old cane pole when I was 9 or 10 years old, and my grandfather was teaching me how to catch catfish. Big part of enjoying, the world we live in. Tremendous privilege we have to live in America with the enormous resources we have, and the world God gave us. But you also have an obligation to put back, so to speak, and to do everything you can to make sure that that resource is there for future generations.
There are people out there that would have us, that would erode our right to hunt and fish and enjoy the outdoors. What should the average sportsman consider in terms of what they can do to protect that right and that privilege to continue to hunt?
There's some great organizations. Ducks Unlimited is one of them, and they do great work in terms of preserving the habitat, improving the habitat. I think we need to do a lot with education of our young people. There's no better way to contribute to what we're going to be doing long term than taking a child or a grandchild and getting them actively involved in those things that we enjoy and see ways in which we benefit from being able to hunt and fish.
Our viewers of Ducks Unlimited television, what would you like to tell DUTV people?
Well, I've been involved over the years and watched Ducks Unlimited. They do superb work, and I can't think of anything better than to support Ducks Unlimited. They do great work, and they deserve our support. And so do whatever you can to assist. Be a volunteer, contribute financially, support their efforts to maintain that tremendous resource that's important to a lot of us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
And I wish you well. Shoot some ducks tomorrow.
And we'll do it.
Okay.
In the gun dog world, nutrition equals performance, the ability to withstand the coldest conditions, especially true for the older dog. Have you ever had a dog just quit in the duck blind, just shut down? It's either going to be due to hypothermia, your dog is not in shape when you went to the field, you didn't do enough preseason conditioning, or you got the wrong fuel in the tank, in other words, the wrong food. And the food that you're looking for performance is fat. The type of dog feed you feed matters. You want a balanced diet of protein and fats. Don't switch the feed mid-season. Don't switch to a maintenance diet. Stay on the same feed, just watch the body condition. Switching to a maintenance diet can inhibit the fat utilization in your dog. It takes about 12 to 14 weeks for the new feed to actually start having a benefit to the dog. So stay with the same diet and just adjust the amount of feed that you're giving the dog. Also, we suggest to float the food. Dogs do not take in enough water, and you don't want them drinking field water. So by floating the food, it's forcing the dog to take in more water, and that's going to help in the field. Also, feed once a day. About 30 minutes to an hour after the exercise is the optimum time. It takes about 12 to 14 hours for the dog to convert the feed intake into actual energy. So feeding the morning before the hunt is not going to do any good, and it actually can become detrimental. By feeding the night before, the energy is optimized early in the morning, and you're ready for the hunt. The type of nutrition that you put in your dog pays huge dividends in the duck blind. So what are you putting in your dog?
You play this game long enough, sooner or later you're going to get some breaks. Been watching the front move closer and closer the last couple of days, and last night it blew through. Brought with it this morning some cold temperatures and stiff breezes out of the north, and let me tell you, the ducks responded, and we had a wonderful, fantastic duck shoot this morning.
Our volunteers and major sponsors are passionate about the work that Ducks Unlimited puts on the ground. Here in Louisiana, they help raise over $3 million annually to help support DU's conservation programs. DU turns around, leverages those dollars, and invests over $8 to $9 million in the state of Louisiana on an annual basis. These investments provide critical habitat for wintering waterfowl, not only here in coastal Louisiana, but throughout the state.
What does Ducks Unlimited do for that? It's got a tremendously talented group of people who are passionate about getting the resource, protecting it. It is the best vehicle that exists today for a sportsman to put $1 back into the resource, for it to allow for us to have our future generations experience what we've been able to.
Look right there. Golly. Here we go in front. They're coming in the front. Man, look at the ducks fall. I've really been impressed with Orange Dog Coda. A good dog will save you a lot of birds. They're good conservationists. Oren himself is a conservationist, and he's got a dog that helps him be a good one. Oh yeah, that's a good bunch of ducks. That's the way to make ducks fall, boys. Good job. It's a dream for me to be in South Louisiana on opening weekend and to hunt with these two guys. It has truly been an experience that I will retain for the rest of my days. I hope we get to do it again, but if we don't, I can say that I have been there and I have sampled the best in South Louisiana.
I want to talk today about checking your gun for fit. What we're shooting at now is a steel plate. I'm 16 yards away from it, and it's got a little aiming mark cut into the middle. What I'm going to do is mount my gun and shoot as if I were shooting at a bird. Not aiming, but just pointing at the mark, shoot 5 times in a row, and we'll see where the pellets hit. And that's going to tell me if my gun stock fits or if I need to make some kind of an adjustment to it. All right, well, you can see here my pattern is a little bit high, which I'm okay with that because I like to see the bird over my gun, but it's also off to the left. So I'll take this gun back, take out a spacer, try another one, come back here to the board, see if I can't get myself right on target. It's really, really well worth the time to check your gun, make sure it does fit you, and that's Duck Gun for DUTV.
So, you want to learn to blow a duck call? Let's do something else first. Let's talk about gun safety and why you hold the call with the hand that you hold it with. I'm right-handed, so I write with this hand. I learn to call with my left hand, strictly so that I can reach over and pick up a loaded shotgun with my very best hand. Gun safety is the most important thing you can make sure happens when you go hunting. So many people think about calling and shooting and taking the right kind of candy bars with them. But the most important thing is gun safety. So learn to call with the hand that you don't write with, pick up your loaded weapon with the safety on with your right hand.
Duck Tactics has been presented by Buck Gardner Calls, champion of champions.
Coastal Louisiana is such a special and important place for North American waterfowl, and visiting there was an absolute highlight for DUTV in 2014. As was this upcoming Arkansas experience with George Dunklin. Dunklin is DU's most recent past president and current chairman of the board. Joining him is the owner of the Circle T and the National Secretary of DU, Chuck Smith, and DUTV's own Field Hudnall.
If you've been to Stuttgart, you've seen the sign, duck hunting capital of the world. And the place we're hunting is called the Circle T Ranch. It's about 15 minutes outside of Stuttgart, owned by Mr. Chuck Smith, a huge supporter of Ducks Unlimited. We are in flooded timber just outside of Stuttgart, Arkansas. I can see why guys that grew up hunting timber, they don't want to do anything else, because that right there could get very addicting. Joining us on this hunt is Ducks Unlimited's very own George Dunklin. To say that it was an honor to be able to hunt with him is an understatement. We didn't have the sun and the hunting wasn't really that good. There wasn't that many ducks, but it was still neat to sit out there with Chuck and George and listen to a lot of their stories. Well, the duck hunting's a little bit slow, but there's no denying that this is one beautiful hole. And Chuck, this is your place, Circle T. And from what I understand, you two have some history.
I met George, owner, about 1974.
Senior in high school.
And George says, would you like to go duck hunting tomorrow? And I said, well, yeah. We go hunting the next morning. We get in this old station wagon with the wood on the side. The way we found it was there were about 10,000 mallards all over that field, and we could see them from far away just falling in the air. Jumped out of our station wagon and sprinted out to the blind, and we've been great friends ever since.
What's y'all's position on, where DU is at today, and where do you think that it needs to go tomorrow?
Conserving, preserving, restoring wetlands has a bigger benefit than just duck hunters.
Mm-hmm.
It's to everybody in society. With clean water, clean air, flood retention control. We're not getting that message out. We need to be outreaching to many, many more folks.
Right.
Never forget how important the hunting part is of it.
Yeah.
And never forget the traditions that hunters have and the conservationists that hunters are. We're a science-based driven organization. And we've been very effective in policy work, public policy work in Washington. We need more hunters and we need more support. It's an amazing organization, an amazing sport. It's because of our folks that started Ducks Unlimited in 1937 and had the incredible foresight to see that we had to preserve this habitat, this great resource. Otherwise, this all have been gone.
Right.
We owe a lot to a lot of folks before.
Absolutely. Overall, our trip to Arkansas was a great experience. The weather wasn't the greatest. We shot a few ducks, and it was an honor to be able to hunt with Chuck Smith and George Dunklin. All I can say is this was a hunt that I'll never forget.
Ask anyone who hunted the Arkansas Prairie near Stuttgart in 2014, and they'll tell you it was a challenging year. But that's hunting, of course, and it's the off years that make the good years so much sweeter. Learn more and join us at ducks.org. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on DUTV.